Woody Nerdigans. This is the one and only Packer Girl 89 of Nerdigans, and today's Manga Nerdigan live reaction video is going to be for World Trigger chapters 246 through 248. Now, before I get into this recap and live reaction, we are at war with YouTube's algorithm, and it is slowly but surely killing my channel. And in order to defeat this algorithmic beast, we need you to please hit that like, share, and subscribe buttons. And because of course this channel, let alone this video, are not sponsored, and we ain't sponsored by HYUSE'S, and we ain't sponsored by Manga Plus, and we ain't sponsored by Viz. And considering how much we promote Manga Plus on this channel, it's kind of surprising, right? But if you love what we're doing and want to help keep me, my adorable little Bubba kitty, who's somewhere around here, and hopefully being a good kitty, we do not need no bad kitties around here, and this operation literally alive and kicking, so we can keep bringing you more anime and manga content, whether it be news, analysis, or live reactions like this one. Feel free to hit up our Cash App and PayPal. Links are in the description box below, as well as the link to our Patreon, where we are doing our anime live reaction content, because unlike YouTube, where I constantly have to worry about getting a copyright strike for showing anything on the screen, well, Patreon, we don't have to worry about that. So we can have our full setup of the anime and manga side by side and have the audio to boot, which is not only great for busting a botched localization or two, but it's great for when we cover anime original content like, say, Dragon Ball Daima, or for Bleach 1000-Year Blood War, which we do have the 1st and 5th episodes available for free on Patreon. And the more views and subscribers we get on Patreon, the more anime we'll cover. And hell, if you're a $10 patron, you get to choose the series we cover as well. And there's a Stackfall anime season in full swing and more on the way. So please check out our Patreon. The link is in the description box below. So the last time I covered World Trigger, HYUSE'S was really laying into Rokuro what Asumu had that he didn't. And also he found out the truth about what and Nukai thought of him as well. Oh my god. And it seems like it's going to continue in 246. So let's get to 246 first, see what's in store for us today. And that is titled Rokuro Wakamura Part 2. There we go. Let's see here. How will HYUSE'S approach Rokuro's questions? Let's see. I'll be taking cues from my own teacher's methods as I attempt to answer your questions, Rokuro. Your teacher? Someone at Tamakoma? No, my Canadian teacher. Well, Canada equals Crater in this case. Well, the first question is, what does Asumu have that Rokuro does not? Hold on a sec. Before diving in, what's capability mean? Right, capability. Well, that's the word you used before. Well, in a broad sense, I get what you mean about Mikumo being more capable or whatever. Well, not a huge gap. What I don't get is how you're defining the term specifically. Like, where exactly is this gap emerging? Well, there's no need to overthink the matter. Capability translates directly to results. Results? Really? Well, yeah, that kind of is the thing that matters the most, is who is getting results. For instance, imagine if you will, a pair of taiyaki chefs. The fish-shaped pastries? One of them sources his ingredients carefully and follows the manual to the letter. He prepares the food with precision and practices zealously. The other ignores all instructions, eyeballs measurements, and makes up her own process. Her knowledge consists of the bare minimum needed to keep the business going, live in creation. Which chef is more capable? The deciding factor is whether or not the taiyaki they produce tastes good. I love that Katori. I love that Katori is being used as the easygoing one. Katori's is yummier. I get it. It's all about results, like you said. Going with this metaphor, is Mikumo bound to become a taiyaki master chef? Well, not quite. At Tamakoma, too, it's Yuma and Chika doing the cooking. Rather, Asumu has a talent for hawking the taiyaki. Well, yeah, Asumu is better at, like, basically bringing the crowd in. Asumu wouldn't add much to the business by doing any cooking himself, but he has the capability to contribute in a different way. So basically, because he doesn't have the trigger capacity, he is adapting by using his talent, aka his brain, to come up with strategies to help utilize everyone else's abilities. He's been proving that throughout the selection exam. In other words, the capability I speak of, see, is the ability to have a net positive effect on the results. In terms of rank wars, it's a talent for guiding one's squad that much closer to victory. See what I mean? As such, capability is bound to be evident in the outcome. Those in pursuit of such capability can only do so via those results. Like I keep saying, this just reflects the limits of our current power. Yeah, okay, but someone could be uber strong, but when you hand them a bad spawn point, they're bound to lose anyway. That depends. It does depend, because if you are extremely skilled, um, and can use that power to your advantage, if you're extremely strong strength wise, but you're able to adapt to any situation, then and able to wield that power to your advantage no matter the scenario, it shouldn't matter where you spawn. Does a loss like that reflect their capability? In real life war, yes! Life and death battles present us with unique, never before seen triggers, which is true, and foes who appear insurmountable at a glance. Cursing one's misfortune and the unfairness of it all will do no good. Exactly. Don't bitch and complain, basically. When facing such challenges head on, striving for more optimal results is how one's capability is tested. I agree. It's all about adaptability. That's what this test is really about. If you think about it, it's about adaptability, because um, when they're outside and doing their thing, that's going to ultimately be what it is. What they're going to have to do is adapt. It's not going to be by the book. Rank wars are intended to prepare us for true battle. So losses due to unlucky or unreasonable rolls of the dice still reflect one's capability, as we are challenged to make the best of a suboptimal situation. So capability has to account for bad luck. As I said, if you are capable of handling any situation, it shouldn't matter where you spawn. That's high-minded stuff. Great. So results reflect capability. In that case, how does Makuma produce better results than me? I suspect the answer is the difference in leeway or wiggle room. The reason is because I don't have any wiggle room. You have it backwards. It's Osamu who has no margin for error. Yeah, because he has to compensate for his lack of capacity to use trigger. Or basically his lack of capacity of Tryon. There we go. He has to make up for it. Let me ask you this. What is your goal, Rakuro, and what is Katori Squad's? I want to achieve Masterclass as a gunner, and the squad's trying to reach A rank. What is the deadline for those achievements? There's no deadline, really. I see. Tamakoma 2 has a concrete goal and a clear deadline. The away mission this season, right? We heard that much at the press conference thing. I'm a bit lacking on the specifics, but Osamu seems to have a personal reason why he must take part in the next away mission. That sort of looming necessity is often a factor that incentivizes growth, and it's one obvious difference between you and Osamu. That is very true. Like, if you are on crunch time, it's going to push you further. Hold on now. You're saying having a deadline matters that much? In Osamu's case, certainly. To paraphrase my own teacher, when one's objective has no hard deadline, due recognition of one's failures is difficult. Failure to recognize failure? Yeah, basically. It is through awareness of what has been lost that we reckon with failure. I think Daisuke is definitely applying his time as a mangaka here. I really do. I could see this. Moving towards one's objective may demand time, effort, monetary resources, trust, and external valuation. Through the awareness that these things have been lost, we can recognize the failure to achieve the goal. I have to wonder if Daisuke feels like a failure because he can no longer be a weekly mangaka. And he had to move to being a monthly. And maybe he even feels like at some point, and this is how I see it anyway, because of his health situation, and that it is kind of getting progressively worse. is that he feel that he might have to go quarterly. I don't know. Maybe it's just me projecting my own thoughts on. Obviously, it's my thoughts, but maybe because that's how I kind of see it with this. I'm very curious what you guys think, and especially when he's saying this here, it is through awareness of what has been lost that we reckon with failure. And in that case, in the case of Daisuke, it's the loss of not being able to have a weekly serialization anymore because of his health, which is in his spine, his yeah, because of the thing, because of his neck. That's why, and that we reckon with failure. And yeah, he's had to reckon with that failure by switching to monthly. See, I see you, Daisuke. I see what you're doing. Moving towards one's objective, and also not just that. You know what? The other thing I have to wonder here too, with this, is if he is referring to not just that, but referring to the time when World Trigger was on hiatus, and not just to the point where, or during the, I'm talking about the long hiatus when a lot of people thought World Trigger was not going to come back. I think that's what this is mainly referring to, is that time period. But let me know what you guys think. Moving towards one's objectives may demand time, effort, monetary resources, trust, and external valuation through the awareness that these things have been lost. And it's not just, mobility and all that. It's also time too. Because remember, there was like 4 years of time that Daisuke lost in, working on World Trigger. We can recognize the failure to achieve the goal. However, when no clear deadline for that goal exists, I'm making zero progress, but I'm still in the middle of this challenge. I've got no results to show for it, but one can indefinitely postpone a firm declaration of either success or failure. So you see, because the resources invested are bound to pay for them for themselves upon success, one may convince oneself that nothing of value has truly been lost just yet. And by not imposing a firm time limit, one is merely turning a blind eye to the value of time. See? One is this right here. This line right here really convinces me that even more. So that that Daisuke is kind of Daisuke is referring to the time that he lost working on World Trigger. And by not imposing a firm time limit, one is merely turning a blind eye to the value of time invested and lost. So long as one is blissfully unaware of these lost resources and time, there's no hope of grounded reflection and improvement. It is no better than marching in place. I have to wonder if not just the time lost from working on World Trigger. I have to wonder if Daisuke is kind of referring to what's been happening here. That he's not addressing the elephant. I think he is kind of addressing it now, obviously. The elephant in the room of trying to do so much. Because remember, there's been times where he's tried to put out like 2 chapters a month, which is something he shouldn't be doing. It's not a good idea to do that, Daisuke. You need to recognize your limits. And I think this chapter, what we're seeing so far in this chapter, is that he is recognizing his limits. And by trying to push himself so much, he's lost time on, putting out additional chapters. You know what I mean? That's what I think he's saying here about himself anyway. But let me know what you guys think. Your teacher was a harsh one, he used to say, the type to beat you over the head with the hard truth. This was an extreme example of him warning me. And you know what? I have to wonder if the teacher that HYUSE'S is talking about is Daisuke's I wonder if Daisuke's mentor was the one that said, it's either Daisuke's mentor or Daisuke's editor. It's got to be one of the two. This was an extreme example of him warning me, but the salient point is that setting a deadline is one way to confront one's results in earnest. Tell me, Rakuro, in that time, what have you gained? Ooh, you know what? The other thing I'm wondering, in terms of the deadline, though, you know what I'm wondering? If the deadline that, yeah, that Daisuke is referring to here is the deadline of completing this arc. Because there hasn't really been a set deadline to complete this arc, if you think about it. Asumu hasn't had the luxury of marching in place. He's forced to confront the challenges at hand and his own deficiencies because he lacks the wiggle room to postpone those reckonings. My trying capacity is so low. Given my lack of talent, is there any point in trying? My trying capacity is low, so I better chart a different path to victory. Let's see. Ultimately, Asumu's strength is a high quantity of high quality ideas, which is also Daisuke. Daisuke does have that too. And his approach allows him to capitalize on that strength. So his low trion and looming deadline forced him to specialize as a guy who pumps out a lot of usable ideas. Precisely. Imagine if Asumu did have extra leeway. He might prefer to lean on sheer battle prowess. I'll show you all that a low trion dude can get it done. Arrogant jerk. That'll take 2 years and would be likelier to wind up marching in place. Hearing all this, it's less about Mikumo being so amazing and more like you're telling us we're dragging our feet. Daisuke, this is you. You are dragging your feet, sir. That is you. I don't mean to show contempt for anyone else. After all, Border's policy is to encourage freedom rather than motivate via pressure. Naturally, that approach engenders strength and creativity. That said, Tamakomo too added its own constraint during rank wars. I'm convinced that this forced Asumu to choose a different path than most other agents. You mean, if I impose my own deadlines and pressure myself, I'll wind up with the same strong suit as Mikumo? Deep in thought, huh? Why exactly do you want to emulate him? Isn't it obvious? I want to be better and achieve more. You know what? I have to wonder if Rakuro is like this conversation here that Hyusei is having with Rakuro is like kind of is inspired by like a conversation that Daisuke had with an assistant. I gotta wonder if that's the case, or like either an assistant or an aspiring mangaka or something. That's what it feels like. I don't know if anyone else is getting that vibe from this, but that's what I'm getting from this. And I kind of hope that the person that Daisuke is talking about that was giving Hyusei a hard time. I really hope that was Tagashi that said that. Part of me is thinking that because there's actually a comment from a while, but this was years ago, mind you, that Tagashi really loves Tagashi's a fan of World Trigger, and he saw a lot of promise in Daisuke, and obviously Tagashi has health issues too, so I have to wonder if that was Tagashi that gave Daisuke a hard time, and I would love it if it was. I'm after some sort of weapon now. Let me compete against those who've got what I'm lacking. I want something that'll change me for the better. Does this supposed something necessarily exist? Gathering up the answers and conclusion arrived at by others does not equate to experience of your own. Is that not what Inukai was trying to communicate? While you spend time searching for that special something, aka the secret to being better must be around here, your competition is steadily progressing via standard efforts. Turning away from the reality before you and holding out hope for the chance of some imagined magic bullet is the very definition of marching in place. That is very true. So it's not that everyone else is so special. Instead, I've just been the one standing still, going nowhere? That seems more likely than yes. At the end of the day, Mikumo's approach isn't something someone else can copy. When Tamakomo 2 lost in round 4, the optimal strategy Asumu chose was to ask Jin to join the squad. What? Huh? Jin? Really? That didn't come to fruition, but I doubt there are many who could have done such a thing. A deadline is a weighty thing with the power to compel, and I suspect that Asumu feels this more keenly than others. Yep. Again, this is something that mangaka have to deal with, is a deadline. Each of us grapples with different variables, so while emulating the external actions of someone else may be doable, emulating their internal state is not. I could elaborate on the differences between you two all day, but you would walk away with no tangible gain. I said as much earlier, and now I've explained why. No amount of advice can help me. Copying capable agents won't either. Okay, right, so what can I do to improve? One potential approach comes to mind. Leave Katori Squad. What? Leave the squad? Yes, the root of the problem lies within Katori Squad, as I'm about to explain. Get to the heart of the matter. All right, let's see. All right, here we go. This diagram so we got a diagram here. Outlines relative combat levels in solo battles, and this is chapters titled Rokuro Wakamura Part 3. Asamu places below you Rokuro in B bottom, and Rokuro is B mid, and then there's B top, then there's Katori A rank, and then there's Tachikawa. Now let us switch to prowess in team battles. Asamu winds up above you. I've excluded Tachikawa as I don't know enough to judge. Any thoughts so far? I really did drop down to mid B, so I can't exactly whine about that. Setting aside the solo battles, isn't Yoko placed too high for team battles? There have been plenty of times when she escaped a hairy situation only thanks to input from Hannah, our operator. Is that so? Fine, excluding operator support from the equation drops Katori down by 1 level. No issue with these positions, I take it? Damn, Asamu went up to A rank, Katori to B top, and Rokuro is still stuck at B mid. So remember what, Hyusei said about Rokuro stuck in one place, marching in one place. I still feel like he's placed Yoko too high. No issues, I guess. Would you say this aligns with your perception? Sure. Actually, this diagram has one thing wrong. Your true position, is down here in C rank. Oh, what? Yeesh, man, that's harsh. In preparation for the selection exam, I rewatched every match from this season involving you all, my ad hoc squad mates. My takeaway is that during team battles, you, Rokuro, have yet to reach the level at which you can contemplate how you and your allies ought to act. Hyusei, dude, go easy on him. Allow me, don't go easy on him. He doesn't want you to. Lay it into him. Allow me to state my conclusion. The root of your problem, Rokuro, is that Katori is too competent. Ooh. So basically, he has it a little too easy because of Katori. And he needs to be in a situation that pushes him. Yoko is really too competent, huh? From its inception until it reached the upper realm of B rank, Katori Squad came up against no true wall. Most points were earned by Katori herself. She certainly does fine work as the team's ace, but for your part, Rokuro, you sailed over a wall you ought to have crashed into and were carried straight to upper B rank, see? While other squads utilize every member's strength to make the climb one step at a time, your squad's ace sent you rocketing up the mountain in a single burst. You were never given an opportunity to learn the fundamentals of team battles, right? I wasn't? Is that true? Mm-hmm. It's undeniable that in that final match, I had no clue what I should have been doing. Personally, I just charged with the shield up, or is that what Sua's squad wants? Hang on, let's not be hasty. I thought I was learning to handle parallel thinking from a new Kai yet. What popped into my head wasn't winning strategies, but fears and worries and nothing but... So, it's over in the daytime block. Susanari got 30 points, so that's our baseline. Might have to do better depending on Yuba's squad's points. 4 more points, maybe 5? Crap, I'm calling the shots in this match, and this decides whether we make it back to the top B rank. It's not like we've lost more than we've won, so we can do this. We should be able to win. Meaning, all this time, I've been even weaker than I imagined? My personal take is that most who find themselves marching in place tend to be challenging, while it's more insurmountable than they realize. Rokuro, you believe you've been endeavoring to make this jump, when this is in fact the wall that I see looming before you. It's way up there. So here's C rank, there's B bottom, and there's B mid, and there's B top, and he has to go this high. It's crazy. As if someone who can't even add or multiply were trying to perform a complex computation. Under those conditions, nobody could be expected to arrive at a suitable solution. Your tendency to endlessly search for external answers, pondering, is getting me nowhere. Someone help, I need an answer. It's likely rooted within this set of circumstances. To solve this problem, you must know yourself and pick a challenge more appropriate to your level. Should you leave Katori's squad, gather allies of your own, and begin the slow march up from the bottom rung, you will surely find yourself growing more capable than ever. I get what you're saying, but leaving a squad for that reason seems harsh. Setting a deadline or leaving a squad are both possible measures to take. If a different approach gets the job done just as well, so be it. Either way, the decision is yours, Rakuro. What if... say I do start over from scratch. What if I can't even make it up that first step? What if I never had what it takes to make that first step? What would I do then? Poor Rakuro. See what you did? The guy's confidence is totally shot. Subdivide. Determine what you need to make that first step and subdivide that goal into smaller ones. So there's the step. So what he's saying in terms of subdivide, there's run faster, use terrain advantage, learn to rank actions by priority, infer meaning from enemy/allied positions. That really does help, because if you're overwhelmed by that, and obviously I get overwhelmed too, when you're overwhelmed by something, especially if you're like me and have ADHD, it's better to break it down. And sometimes writing it down, like especially like a bullet point like this, really helps, because then you can be like, okay, I need to do this, this, and this. Determine what you need to make that first major step and subdivide that goal into smaller ones to create steps you're capable of surmounting. This process can be summed up as raw effort. Dude, Rakuro's like, oh my god, what have I been doing? Rakuro, hey, right, just now it finally clicked. I get it now. I'm totally terrified of learning that I'm actually and truly incompetent. That fear drove me to set myself up to fail. Yep. Deafness, environment, talent, human nature, intuition, individuality, genetics, wits. That fear drove me to pursue answers from others. If I impose my own deadlines and pressure myself, I'll wind up with the same strong suit as Mikumo. But say I carve up those goals into the tiniest possible sub-goals. Say I get my ducks in a row to the point that even a worthless idiot could succeed with a little effort. If it's even that's not enough for me to climb that first real step, I'll just be proving that I'm hopelessly incompetent. Confirming that truth for myself is my greatest fear of all. Can you write, like, again, I gotta wonder if this whole conversation is between was inspired by a conversation like Daisuke had with an assistant, or fuck, if this is a conversation Daisuke, like a younger Daisuke, had with a mentor. Or like if this is Daisuke having a conversation with his inner saboteur. Because a lot of the stuff that HYUSE'S is saying is something that I feel like Daisuke has had to confront himself. I really do. And I'm curious what you guys think about this. I have to, like, specifically, as I said, I feel like this is something that Daisuke had to confront with during the long hiatus World Trigger was, and it was like between 2016 and 2018 when people thought that World Trigger wasn't going to come back because of how bad Daisuke's health was. That's what I feel like this is specifically talking about. Or not talking about, that was inspired by. But can you ride a bicycle? What's that got to do with it? Yeah, I can. Then you'll be fine. You're capable of this. Anyone can ride a bike, though. I cannot. Oh? Are you for real? Don't they got bikes over in Canada? The ground on this planet is relatively flat, so knowing how to ride a bike comes in handy. I hail from the mountainous biome of Canada, and a bicycle would be a hindrance on those alpine paths. Well, that's called there's a mountain bike for that, bro. You don't say. Canada's natural terrain sounds rough, man, but Canada does have that. Okay, well, Canada's one thing, but being able to ride a bike is taken for granted here in Japan. Besides, even with the same machine, there'd be a huge difference between a pleb and, like, me and a serious cyclist. This has nothing to do with anyone but you. The fact that you can ride a bicycle tells us that through training, you can learn to do something you were once incapable of. Understood? I mean, a good example of this, Daisuke aside, look at what, uh, well, actually, I'll include Daisuke in this conversation too. And look at Tagashi. Look how they have both had to adapt to being able to draw manga while with their health issues. With Tagashi, it's being able to at least hand draw panels while avoiding being, in pain in his lower back. With Daisuke, it's a little bit harder because he is dealing with, neck pain. Uh, do not be constrained by the bicycle analogy. This could apply to mastering chopsticks or what have you, or again, drawing while compensating for pain in your spine. Like, that's really hard. Well, drawing's already hard enough, but doing that while you suffer from like chronic pain is extremely hard to do. Doing anything while suffering from chronic pain is extremely hard to do. It is. I mean, my late significant other had horrible, horrible chronic. He suffered from fibromyalgia, and when he was going through like the worst of it, like he literally could not move. He was in that much pain. But anyways, recall every one of the many times you grew capable of capable of something. In the meantime, subdivide your goals as much as needed to make them attainable. You're sure to improve. Through this, you will gain confidence. Exactly. Just doing like little things, you gain being able to do just the little things, you gain confidence. I wonder if Rakuro's head got done in by all this. Let's see. What is Rakuro thinking? Well, let's get to the final chapter of this live reaction and find out. After having finished HYUSE'S lecture, and this chapter is titled Rakuro Wakamura Part 4. Hey, Rakuro, try not to let it get to you too much, HYUSE'S whole speech was definitely impressive, but it's not like that exact approach will work for everyone. No, it won't work for everyone. It will work for a good chunk of people, but it's not going to work for everyone. At the end of the day, both Inukai and HYUSE'S are basically telling you to pull yourself up by your bootstraps, yeah? That's some tough advice to put into practice. I don't necessarily feel that way. How does it work over on Arafune's squad? Does Arafune himself instruct you? On our squad? The older guys gave us training regiments on a regular basis, like sniper training, 1 hour course, but then, Arafune? This one, it took me 90 minutes. I was never going to pull it off in an hour. I see. Good, work on this, and good luck on the next one. Maybe my captain also tends to half-ass these things. Anyway, I guess when you decide to take on the teaching role, it makes sense to keep giving those lessons until they stick. Basically when you're a teacher, you gotta be able to create lesson plans, not like a one-size-fits-all lesson plan. You gotta be able to work with different students' learning styles, especially if you're, for example, like me and have and are disabled. You gotta be able to work with them and adapt to that. Anyway, I guess when you decide taking to take on the teaching role, it makes sense to keep giving those lessons until they stick. I've gotten a lot out of this, actually. Putting concrete techniques and knowledge aside, it's helped me realize some really fundamental stuff. All that's left is for me to decide what to do. Yep. Glad to hear that. Like I said, try not to dwell on it. I mean, you're doing a decent job at this temp captain thing. I was under the impression that you'd have some complaints about my leadership on Zaki. Huh? Complaints? Me? No. Uh-oh. Don't tell me you take it personal when I'm like, this blows, what a drag, or whatever. No, it ain't like that. Those are practically my catchphrases. Same idea when I say crud or man, this sucks. Oh my god, I know this is the localizer. Putting that stuff into words helps me settle down and lock in, I guess. God, now I'm just making excuses. Shoot, now I've really done it. I totally screwed up. You're fine, really. I didn't take it personally. I should crawl in a hole and die. Ugh, I said you're fine. Don't dwell on it, okay? Hisada, in the event that Rakuro remains despondent tomorrow, we'll be relying on you and Miori. Do your best to make up for Rakuro's shortcomings. I think he'll be okay, but sure, I hear you. Honestly, I had no idea that Rakuro was brooding about that. Understandable, for a captain unaccustomed to leadership, especially one whose squad cannot escape last place, it's perfectly natural for him to panic about these results. Maybe the problem is that I'm a screw up? I have to ask you, say, why do you think Rakuro was chosen as a provisional captain for this exam? Personally, I don't have any complaints about him taking on the role, but there were definitely a good number of other qualified agents. What was the leadership team going for in choosing him? Thinking back on the events and conversations of today, I believe he may have been chosen as a potential future instructor. Instructor? Really? To start with, as an organization, Border has a disproportionate number of trainees among its agents. There aren't enough triggers to go around for one, and the fact is, a good 80% of Border's fighters sit unused. The current thinking seems to rely on the idea that capable individuals will naturally rise to the top of their own accord. However, one major challenge for the future of this organization is to see how many Tryon users can be dragged up from C rank where they're currently fumbling and flailing. So they want instructors. They want instructors to help boost the organization's fighting force. Indeed, huh? This junk is tripping you up for real. Katori and others who rely on intuition make for poor instructors, while Asamu and his ilk are almost too unique. Think of a bunch of cheese tactics to annoy the enemy into submission. On the other hand, as it stands, Rokuro represents the inexperienced demographic among these provisional captains. Given everything he currently lacks, if we assume that Rokuro can drive himself past those walls and build on his experiences, he could eventually be of great service to other agents like himself. I see why that's getting you down. Okay, try to break down the problem into more manageable chunks that require smaller steps to make progress. If any significant percentage of the 400 C rank agents can be cultivated into full agents, it would go a long way towards strengthening the organization. With that approach in mind, potential instructors are a valuable resource. And while we're bound to come across agents who struggle in solo battles, some of them may find effective ways to contribute to in the team setting, just like Mikumo. Yes, exactly. Still, this is mere speculation on my part. I cannot claim to know the leadership team's true intention or true intent, and truthfully, they ought to focus on the present challenges rather than future ones. In any case, the selection exam represents a defining crossroads for Rakuro. I have to say, you seem kind of detached at a glance, but when it comes to your squad mates, you put some real thought into the matter. Well, of course. I too seek to join the impending away mission, and it's only natural that I devote every effort to that end. Right, makes sense. Well, yeah, of course. Sealed environment phase, end of day 5. A sealed environment phase. Oh, now we're getting into day 6. Oh, look at that. In the monitor room, a whole mountain of comments about Hyusei and Rakuro. Something must have happened yesterday? What's Mikumo got that I don't? Oh, it seems like one intense combo. I don't know much about what Makuma was up to during the rank wars. While you spend time searching for that special something, your competition is steadily progressing via standard efforts. Oof, he let him have it. Yusei hit the nail on the head, but ouch! Yusei knows what he's talking about. Bakuro's fundamentals are totally lacking in major ways. Combat is all about outwitting and countering the opponent. But you can't outwit your way out of a paper bag without the basics in place. You're pretty harsh on poor Wakabura. Evolution of Hyusei prior day by night shift. +1 good concrete tips. Could have been a little harsher even. +1, I was like, whoa, really fast. Even harsher? Damn, Kazuma! You know how Kazuma is. -1, he basically handed Wakamura the answer, which isn't exactly to Wakamura's benefit. +1, still, he had to take a different approach than Inukai, or else, what's even the point? +1, now it's all up to Wakamura himself. It's still unclear how effective this lecture will be, but it seems sincere. +1, the lesson was made easier to understand via examples, hypotheticals, and diagrams. I agree. He got a lot of kudos for this. His explanation was nice and clear. Yeah, and I don't like that Mofo was giving him a -1 for being too harsh. It's like, dude, with Wakamura, you have to be harsh. You can't baby him. Inukai was kind of doing that, and it was a disservice. +1, despite being a bit harsh, I sensed actual thoughtfulness and consideration. -1, putting him on full blast. Oh, fucking A. Screw you, Biz. Putting him on full blast in front of younger agents? That's being considerate? I don't know. Yeah, that is being considerate. Because guess what? The other agents are not losing. The other agents are learning too. That's kind of important. +1, Wakamura himself was asking for advice, so I don't think Agent Hyusei was out of line. Exactly! He wasn't out of line! He wanted this shit! He wanted brutal honesty. Like, you're being fucking soft, man. Yeah, I have to agree with Fuyushima on this one. If I were Wakamura, I'd never recover from this beating. Dude, bro, you are soft. Don't you think that Hyusei might have faith that Wakamura can pick himself back up? Exactly! He's not babying him! +2, that hit home for, it sure does sting. +2, the bicycle metaphor was a good choice. -1, his talk didn't strike a chord for me. Didn't strike a chord for Saki? Hilarious. That sort of lecture wouldn't work on him. Exactly. We've seen how Hyusei was evaluated more or less. Now let's look at Wakamura. Evaluation of Rokuro Wakamura prior day by night shift. Is Rokuro +1? Is Rokuro really that incapable? He's dwelling on too much. -1. He's not great in team battles. Agent Hyusei was correct on all counts. Ooh. -2. Too weak-willed, too lenient with himself. Seems like the type to ask others for advice and count that as making an effort. Ooh, Maki is brutal. She finds just the right angle to eviscerate someone. +1, this right here. +1, it takes some real initiative to go to others for advice. -2, not only did he waste others' time, but none of the lessons even stuck. More demerits for that. +2, we've yet to see this particular advice is wasted on him or not. Let's keep an eye on Rokuro. +1, hopefully all the advice and lessons he's received up to this point will bear fruit in the future. I hope he makes good on all of it. Yeah! Mikami is such a sweetheart. For some people, it can take a while to realize the value of advice they've gotten. Exactly, because why? Some people are fucking stubborn. Psyche's unfounded optimism is amusing. Tsutomi crashed into a wall of his own in the past, which likely informs his empathy for Wakamura. -1, it's too soon to declare I've got what it takes or I don't got it. Any given person is capable of so many things. -1, I don't want to hear all this whining until a guy is done and tried all he can. -1, yes, it's tragic if genuine effort leads to failure, but it sounds like he's not even willing to try without a guarantee of some imagined payoff. Ooh, Kako's comment practically made me gasp. Life is tough when you start searching for a foolproof path to success. Yeah, you don't want to live life that way. No. -2, some people just aren't cut out for competition. That might be the case for this guy. +1, cut it out. You're tearing poor Rokan's heart to pieces. My heart too, for that matter. +1, this right here is good. This is where the true challenge begins. I'm looking for Wakamura to make a comeback. +1, advice is worth noting until it's put into practice. I'm also hoping for noteworthy results. I agree with this. I do. Would I give Wakamura positive points for this? I give Hyusei positive points, not just because he's one of my favorite characters, but because what he said is really good advice. I like what he said. It's fantastic advice. And it's not just for, Wakamura, but it's for all of them. All of them should take Hyusei's advice to heart. And it's brutal, and sometimes tough love is the best love. A lot of them are rooting for him. I'm on Team Rokuro too. What advice would you give Rokuro, Toki? Tough question. My parents raised me to focus less on the goal itself and more on my best score. Meaning, well, the goal is like the dream you're chasing. It's about the person who you want to become eventually. The big end goal exists so that you could choose a path forward, a direction. I guess that's where I'm headed, but it's not like you have to get there. It's not the goal or bust. And heck, your goal can even change along the way. This is very true. There can be any number of different routes. Let's go this way for now. And the real question is, how close to the goal did you get starting from your origin? And how far can you progress by your own willpower? Oh, I've come a long way. Looking forward to all that is the spice of life. Hence, best score. I like that. Sure, I get it. Interesting approach. I like that approach too. I suppose this was a life lesson your parents learned for themselves? Actually, no, not really. After the first big attack by the neighbors, I sort of fell into a slump where I couldn't bring myself to care. I suspect they didn't want me to think that if my goal were out of reach, then I might as well give up. Right, good point. You should offer Rakuro that lesson. I'd be happy to if he comes to me for advice. Plus, two, failure leads to panic, unease, pain, and angst, embarrassment, etc. These things are no more than reactions that exist to keep us from repeating the same mistakes over and over forever. Instead of brooding over or avoiding the issue, it's best to embrace one's role and let these setbacks be impetus towards improvement. Rock on and live strong, Rakuro. My comment is awfully philosophical in a way. I agree. That is deep. Yep. Even negative emotions can be put to use as fuel to spur on self improvement. I agree with that. It is. Kadera Squad 8. So I put some thought into Suicide Squad's trick. The way they had so many sniping units is way they had so many sniping units. You mean? That cost works out just right. Oh, they skimped on ammo. It was a smart choice for us to stop at nothing to take down one of those units. We never have figured this out without knowing the exact cost. Good judgment there, Katora. Oh shucks. The issue is any squads that figured out this trick will be able to repeat today what Suicide Squad 7 did yesterday. Sniping, huh? So we need a counter for ranged attacks in general. What if we add a unit that specializes in tank projectiles? Because combining offense and defense in a single unit is too costly. And besides, we already saw some squads with 6 or more types of units. Wait, in those cases, was a single creator controlling 2 different types at once? Either that, or they distributed one copy of the 6th type of unit to everyone. Of course! What's up, Gadara? You figured something out? Yes, I mean, not about yesterday. It's what we discussed the day before, which was in the Battle Sim 2 days ago. Suicide Squad showed suspiciously good teamwork, and I think I know why. Suicide Squad must have been using blended mini squads geared toward combos between units. Speaking of, we still need these games. This game here, we do. It needs to be on Switch and PC. Yes, PC gamers, I'm looking out for you. What do you mean? I get it. It's so, like, whereas we only had each person using their own avatar, they instead decided to group together units to make inter-unit teamwork easier regardless of who's controlling them. Who's controlling them? Yeah, that makes sense. That way you don't have to sync up your timing with other people, thereby allowing them to activate combo skills precisely and without wasted effort. This explains how they perform so well. Is that how Mizukami's squad made such good combo plays too? They very well may have been doing something similar. In hindsight, perhaps the presence of those backup units was a hint about this strategy from the management. Who exactly will be using us? A late game realization like this is bound to frustrate an A ranker. But how about Kadera himself? You almost look pleased about this, Kadera. Oh, right, yeah. I'm usually not one for quick eureka moments, so catching on even 2 days later is cause to celebrate. When I come upon the footprints of those ahead of me, it makes me feel like I'm making progress myself. Will we adopt a new strategy for today's special simulations? Nope. Retooling our units at this point would put us in a time crunch, so we'll stick to the same general strategy while making use of the blended mini squads where possible. Sure, the special sims matter quite a bit, but our goal is to take first place overall. So now we're at day 6. Labor hours begin. We're starting off with Wakamura Squad 11. These here are circuit diagrams for sniping triggers. Which of the following is the circuit for the EVIS? I know it's choice number 3. That was quick. You sure? The circuit shown in choice number 3 allows one to modulate power output. It's obvious at a glance. Next. When using Whirlwind as the designated option for Kugetsu, where's the connection point for the option choice 1? So fast, I'm worried about these being counted as my points. Maybe we're better off using your laptop, you say. I believe this approach is faster, no? Besides which my universal assignments remain unfinished. Well, let's get those done and dusted. It's not a huge amount, mind you. Looks like Hosoi and Yusei have got the trigger-related questions covered. You two decide whose computer you submit them on. Meanwhile, we three can handle everything but the trigger questions. Okay, I'll try, but I'm not great at this. Focus on these assignments until 1 p.m. Then we'll dive into strategy sessions about the special sims. Roger that. You got it. Sure thing. Very well. Well, looks like Rikuro's not dwelling on it. Thank goodness. Better give him points for that. I seriously don't get this guy. He's probably all conflicted and indecisive deep down. Oh, come on, let's monitor him with a kind, watchful eye. Well, what do you want him to do? He's got to lead the team. He can't show it that he's like flipping out inside. Suicide Squad 7. All right, time to get started. Makumo, yes? How much time do we need for sim practice? Half an hour should be good. That's it? You think that's enough? Our strategy isn't all too complex, and our unit's stats are already locked in, so got our ducks in a row, eh? You're that confident, huh? I guess. Not as confident as yesterday, but I don't think we're in a bad spot. Okay, you got it. We'll work on the delegated assignments until 2:30 then. What about the homework we finished during after hours yesterday? Are we waiting until tomorrow to cash in that secret weapon? Nah, go ahead and submit all that now, since we'll probably be working overtime again tonight. Yippee! Like I said yesterday, today's all about the delegated assignments. Our strong homework stats will let us hang on to second place overall, and if all goes well, maybe we can close the gap with the top squad. Got it. The 6th day of indoor testing begins. So yeah, so we're gonna be starting 2025, aka next month, with the 6th day. But man, I really like the advice that we got for Rikuro. I think that was so deep. And the other thing I like too that Daisuke did here is did that in terms of the I like the evaluations that I like the fact that they did evaluations for the advice. I thought that was very smart, and I like that it was somewhat divisive. And not just that, I like that the evaluations were for both, one for Hyusei and one for Rikuro. And I like that Hyusei, for the most part, was positive, but I like that there was some negative ones saying that he was a little too brutal. And the reason why is that there are people that would think this, especially in the West. Oh my God, the West can't handle these kinds of opinions. They really can't. They could not handle Hyusei shit. Nah. But Hyusei is right. He is 1,000,000,000% right, and I love it. I do. But I'm very curious what you guys thought of these chapters. What you guys think of ending 2024 with day 5 going into day 6. And do you guys think that the advice Hyusei gave was inspired by, and just the conversation in general was kind of inspired by like Daisuke's personal experience, and specifically like what heck, it could have been even more recent, but I feel like based on the type of conversation, based on the wording of the conversation, it feels like it was during the time period when there was a lot of uncertainty around World Trigger coming back. That's what it feels like to me. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, what you guys think, and remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Nerdigans Inc. Love what we're doing and want to help keep this operation alive and kicking so we can keep bringing you more World Trigger content. Few ways you can do that: donate to our Cash App, PayPal, Patreon, purchase something off our Amazon wishlist, all that's in the description box below. Also, make sure you follow us on Twitter, Twitch, Discord, friend us on PlayStation Network, that's in the description box below as well. Until next time, Nerdigans, I will be seeing you later. Bye.